Had asked me to come speak, and I already had an engagement. I was able to move it later but not get rid of it, and it has to do with my wife. She didn't get to see me very much because I travel a lot, so it was kind of a non-negotiable thing. But again, I really appreciate your time and Otto, the opportunity, invitation to come out and speak to everybody. I'm going to try to not use the microphones, but just try to project my voice. If anybody has trouble hearing me, just say so, and I'll try to speak up a little louder.
I got old ears, speak up.
I'll do my best, sir. Well, again, my name is Mike Watts. I'm the president of Better Heads, LLC. We are a manufacturer of aftermarket trimmer accessories, particularly gas trimmer heads is our primary business. We've been in business now since we formed the company in 2005, in spring of 2005, or a little more than 4 years later. And we've been very successful. We now actually have the number one selling trimmer head in the country, which is the pivot trim. And we've taken it all the way from concept all the way into just perfectly proliferated, and now we're moving into overseas markets. We just moved into New Zealand, Australia, and Europe, and then even parts of Africa and Asia. And so what I wanted to do is to just kind of give you guys a little bit of the war stories that I've kind of gone through, and some of the things that I've learned along the way, and things that might help you as you go to try to market your ideas. Entrepreneurship, inventors are the lifeblood of America, in my opinion. I think we're what drives the economy, we're what keeps us ahead of other countries, and the more we can cultivate that and share among each other, I think it's all the better. So I'm glad to be here to that point. So I'll try to share everything that I can contractually share with you today. The best way to start is to sort of get back to the beginning and talk about how we began. And then as I go along the way, I've got a few tidbits of advice that I'll pass along to you as I talk about each part of the story. But I used to have a regular full-time job, worked at Reliant Energy in Houston. I was a public relations manager there. But felt like that really wasn't for me. The corporate environment wasn't for me, so I started selling products. I was importing products from China, from Vietnam, and selling them in home and garden shows and state fairs. And I was putting them all over the place, and was actually at a show here at the Reliant Center, right after they opened it, actually, and had several booths at the show. But my frustration with that entire setup was that I never really had control. I was really good at marketing products and creating a booth that was inviting and a monetary proposition that was appealing to people to make them want to spend money, but I never was actually making the product. So invariably what would happen is other vendors would see me be successful. It was highly visible that I was being successful, so they would come in and they would go around me. They'd find out where I was making my products. The next show, I would have a competitor right next to me. And it was just this cycle, always went on. And so I was always looking for a product that I could own, that I could make, that I could control where it went and how it went there. And so I had my eyes open, and that's the first lesson, is that, I think all of you have your eyes open because you've taken the time to come here and taken the time to invent and taken the time to learn more about how to do that. But you got to keep your eyes open, and you have to take a step. People ask me all the time, well, how did you do this? How did you get from full-time job to this? And I just tell people to just do it. Absolutely just do it, because so many people sit around and wait and try to wait for everything to be just perfect. It's never going to be really just perfect. You have to take a step. And if it's a step that causes a mistake, thank the Lord for it, because that's a mistake that's cheap. Early mistakes are cheap. The ones later on are very expensive. And so be grateful for that, and then learn from it and move on. If it's successful, do it again. And just that cycle, and that's what I did in the home shows, and that's what I did in this business to this very day. We're constantly trying new things that we've never tried. We're putting things in front of customers in ways that we've never done. We're partnering with people who we used to think were our competitors. But just keeping an open mind. So I was at the show here in Houston and ran across a guy named Orlando Jerez. And some of the stuff I covered in the first presentation, so forgive me for recovering it, but I think it's very pertinent. what he had there was the best demonstration I had ever seen. Now, if anybody in here ever used a weed eater and been mad at the trimmer head before?
Yeah.
Right. Amen, right? So I had that morning, I had fought with my string trimmer head. I tried to wind the line on and feed it out. It didn't work. Ended up just giving up. Like half the yard was cut and half the yard was not cut. And then went to the show frustrated. And here is this guy, and he's got a clear plexiglass box with a chain link fence on the inside. And he's taking this weed eater and he's just grinding it on this fence. And they just can't break the line off. And I'm like, walked up to him. I was like, man, that's amazing. How are you doing that? And he looked right at me and goes, he's from Nicaragua, right? Super nice guy. One of the most amazing inventors you'll ever meet. But he looked at me and goes, oh, it's not the line, it's the head. And I was like, what? He's like, no, it's not the line, it's the head. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's the head. And then he went on to explain to me that if you allow the line to pivot freely, it won't break. Bush hogs have been doing it for years. And so he had patented this idea. It was patent pending at the time. But he had spent all his money developing a prototype. Well, it was a production model, but it was a crude production model. And had run out of money and was looking for somebody to partner with. So I walked him around the show, showed him all the businesses that we had done and how successful they were. And he actually approached me originally about the idea of working together. But we struck a license deal, which took a lot of time and a lot of money. Took a total between the two of us about $50,000 in legal fees just to get through that process, which is not always going to cost that much, but we picked the wrong attorneys. But yeah, attorneys. So so we went through that process. In the meantime, I had to create a corporation or it was an LLC, because I couldn't personally license a product. I had to have my company license the product. So this is very important. The way we set it up, we did a lot of things wrong, but we did a whole bunch of things right. And this is one of the things we did right. We set the company up. We sold shares out, right? So my father and I bought a majority stake in the company, and then we sold out the remaining shares. And what we did is the investors were mostly friends and family, but we went and strategically picked some people that we knew we were going to need along the way and gave them small pieces of the company, 1%, 2% stakes for their services. And those investors, while they're very happy now, but in the time we needed a graphic artist. I was not good with Photoshop and Illustrator and all that stuff, but I knew a guy who was. I didn't know how to set up an LLC, but I knew an attorney that could help me with that. I didn't know how to do accounting, but I knew an accountant. And so we took these people and made them part of the company. And that did two things. It gave us free services with these people for quite a while. And it gave them a sense of ownership in the company. So the work that they put forward was very good. We got great legal advice. We got great accounting advice. We got great graphics, which the graphics, in my opinion, was the most important piece as you go forward, because your image is absolutely everything. Because you can't be, as much as I want to be on every Home Depot aisle of every Saturday afternoon telling people about how great my product is, outside of cloning, I can't do it. So when you structure a company, and if you're going to take that step, try to get some stakeholders in there that can contribute to the company. So another takeaway that we had. So from there, we had the product, had a company created, had it licensed, and then we had to begin the marketing and the manufacturing. So we had to pick a name. So what's in a name, right? What's in a name?
Everything.
Everything's in a name, absolutely. And we went through lots of names, and I don't think we necessarily picked the world's greatest name for the product. It's called the Pivot Trim. The Pivot Trim, if you talk to somebody from Louisiana, they call it the Pivot Trim. You know, it just depends on where you're at, right? And people don't get why you're calling it that until after they use it, and then they do. You know, so maybe we should have called it like the Weed Massacre, or I don't know, something like really memorable. But so it's a pivot trim. Once you get enough branding and marketing in one direction, you can't turn around, and that's one thing to remember. So when you choose wisely and choose something memorable. Better Heads. We got a lot of flack for that name, but it was the best thing we could come up with. We're just two country boys from Missouri County that were, trying to figure out what are we going to call our company. Or make weed eater heads. Let's make it Better Heads, right? Well, it's memorable, but it's sort of limiting at this point, because we're looking at getting into other adventures, and if they're not heads, well, why is Better Heads doing it? So I recommend going with a short, memorable name, something unique. But brainstorm about it, something that sort of relates to your product, but try to pick something that nobody else has done. So that's one of the things that we did okay. We didn't do it great, we didn't do it really bad, but it turned out okay in the end. So we came up with a name, and then the packaging. Now, this was one of the things that really helped us, this process that I'm about to walk you through. What we did to start the process of creating, this was our original product, the first product that we had, first generation. And just so everybody can see. Now, some of the color schemes on here and the features that you see in this product are the result of benchmarking. Benchmarking, copying, whatever you want to call it. We took and bought every single product in our category on eBay, on Amazon, at Home Depot, and Lowe's, and Walmart, and Ace, and everyone. We just went and spent $500 and bought every trimmer head we could find. We laid them out on the table, and we went one by one and talked about what are the attributes of this package that I like and don't like. What about this one? And what about that? And we took all of that information, and we boiled it down and said, this is what we want out of ours. Now, this doesn't look exactly like any of those. I think it's better than all of them, because one of those had an interactive feature where the line would come in the side and you pulled it out the back. And you could do that and you're like, oh, that's cool, I see how it works. So you're using your package to communicate with your consumer, right? So we said, okay, well, ours pivots. So we figured that out. But it took us 5 different companies we went to, clamshell manufacturers, before we found one that said we could do this. They all said, no, you can't do that on a package. You can't do that. It just can't be done. I said, well, yeah, I do not accept. I respect it, but I do not accept that. I want to move on. I want to find something that will work. And the 5th guy said, oh, yeah, we can do it this way, and we can just stamp it out, and no problem. So we did. And that key feature right there helps us to communicate very well with our customer about how this product works and what separates it from all the other ones on the shelf, because it was a little confusing. The color scheme, we wanted something that popped out, that was exciting, that was different, and so that. And then later on, we added some things that I'm proud of. Like this, we added customer reviews on the back of our package. Nobody else to this day still does that. And I got that from books. You go buy a book, you flip it over. It's got, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. So we took actual customer comments and put them on the back of the package. Now, I'm like a stalker at Home Depot, right? I'm like poking my head around the corner, and this guy's walking up, looking at trimmer heads, and I'm like looking at him, trying to see, is he going to pick, which one's he going to pick up, and then they think I'm, accuse him of shoplifting or something, because I chase him through the store, and I ask him, hey man, why'd you pick that one? Because I want to know what was that process that you went through when you made that decision. That helps me. Listening to your customer is absolutely critical. Every trimmer head that goes out off our website goes with a survey, with a pre-addressed, already stamped envelope and a survey. And I've got a stack of them literally that high. That I take, if I run out of stuff to do, I start reading the surveys. And it helps me to understand better how my customer sees my product. It doesn't matter how I see it. How they see it is very important. And a lot of my improvements have come because of what customers have said directly to me after they've gotten it in their hands. So anyway, so there we are. We got our package done. We're literally at the trade show in Las Vegas, the National Hardware Show. This is 2006, I think. 2006 at that point. And so we're literally taking our first production run and clamshelling it closed in the booth. Show's opening tomorrow morning. So we get it all done. The booth looks really great. We did a good job. My dad owns a party room company. We had all kinds of, almost kind of looked like a semi-wedding in there, but it was definitely decorated nicely. And so first day went by, we had some leads. It was okay. Second day, about 11:32 it was. We're standing there in the booth, and this guy comes walking up, and he's looking into the booth, and we're doing our demo. Lines 1, won't break off. And we're all excited, you know, we're living the American dream. And he's looking at my product and he's like, man, I don't know. He turned around and walks off, then he walks back. And I gave him this just immaculate pitch. I mean, I had the sparks were flying off my tongue. It was perfect. It was all laid out for him that we had the greatest product ever. And I was like, he walked away, I was like, that was good. You know, and then but I didn't realize who this guy was. He walked back up, his badge was turned around so you couldn't see who he was. He handed me his card, and he says, well, my name's John Gale. I'm the senior buyer at Walmart. I'd like you to come out to Bentonville and meet with me next week. So I got up off the floor, shook his hand, said, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. I said, I'll be there, you know. That was actually when we went. It was when one of the tropical storms came over and flooded Hobby Airport, where we're supposed to fly out. I messed my truck up driving through the water to get to the airport. The truck still doesn't work today. I mean, but it was worth it because I got there to that meeting and everything worked out in the end. And he loved our product and he loved us enough that he said, you know what? I like it. Let's do it. And the first season put us in all the Walmart stores right off the bat. And in case you're wondering, that does not happen. Hardly ever. I mean, I've never met anybody else that had never had any placement at a store and went directly to Walmart. So that was good and bad. It was good because it gave us enough cash flow and presence out there in the marketplace that we could act like a real company. Because at that point, I had already spent that last year plus, because by the time they actually placed it in the next season, I'd been working with no salary for 18 months, which was not easy. And so that's another lesson learned. If you're going to do something like this, be prepared financially for it, because it's going to cost way more than you think, and you're going to go a lot longer without an income than you think. But so we got in Walmart. It was great, except that Walmart's a distribution king, except they couldn't actually keep it on the shelf. Yeah, right? It took them like 6 weeks to get a new stock in. They only put 6 on the shelf. Well, that would sell out in one day. They sell out 6, it would be 6 weeks before they got 6 more in. And so there was this, we were at Walmart, but we weren't at Walmart. And so it was this very frustrating thing the first season. We more than doubled his projected orders and or sales. And so the next season, second season, we sold twice as much. We still stayed out of stock. And so there was a lot of lost opportunity for us there. Now the way that we did it, that's important. He offered for us to sell them direct. But you start, I mean, these big companies, they say they want to do business with small companies. They say that. But in reality, you have to buy insurance, and you have to get mainly insurance. That's the biggest thing, and then distribution networks and all this stuff set up. This automated ordering systems, EDI, where the orders come in electronically, and then you have to send confirmation of shipment, and all these processes that go into doing business with a company that size, particularly insurance, was very difficult to do. So what we elected to do was to partner with somebody that was already selling similar type products, not trimmer heads, but parts, blades, spark plugs, pull strings, that kind of stuff. So we sold it to them and let them sell it. They take all the headache. They paid us in 30 days. Walmart pays in 120 days. So our cash flow would have not been good either. That was a very good decision. Now, some people would look at it and go, whoa, they're going to take $2 off of our profit. No, because all that $2 would have been eaten up with all the other stuff that you got to do. And so that was a very good decision for us, and something a business model that we still employ today. So we partnered with them into the second season. Into the third season, we just got placement at Home Depot. We worked hard. We also got Ace Hardware and Do It Best and a lot of other places along. But most of the money is in the big chains, right? And so we got placement into Home Depot, and we pitched Home Depot. I called them every week, sent them emails and samples every week. But they didn't even blink an eye at me until I got one of them to come by my booth and see my demonstration. And then he told somebody else in the organization, you got to give these guys a meeting. So we came there with our demonstration box into his office and ground it on the fence. And he's like, wow, that's amazing. And so that demonstration really has paid off. So if you have a product that can be demonstrated in a great way, I mean, Billy Mays style, then do it. because that is what's going to get you not only placement there, but it's going to get you, you can use YouTube, you can use your website, all to communicate these types of things and show your customer how it's different, because words mean nothing. Everybody's got words, everybody uses words, but if you can show them how to do something, then that's the very best thing you can do. So we got into Home Depot for about 2 weeks. And then a competitor comes in and buys the business, what they say. What that means is that these big stores, they have a vendor for a category, right? And so this vendor's selling a product. Then they decide to change vendors. So say they're buying from me, and now they want to start buying from Otto, okay? Well, Otto's got to buy all the stuff that I sold them before they'll put his product in. So he's got to buy back all my stuff that I already sold him before they give them that spot. Well, in this case, it was such a huge volume of stuff that the price tag was big, really big. And so part of the deal is they get a contract, okay, that they are going to be the exclusive provider of trimmer heads, trimmer line for the next several years. So we had just got in there, and man, we were blowing the door. We were selling 2 to 1 over every other head in there. We were just taking off. I saw this rocket ship going, and then all of a sudden he calls and says, "Oh, we can't buy your product anymore." And then explains to me, basically, very, very vaguely, what happened. So this was the defining moment that made a huge determination in the direction that we ended up going. I figured out who he was talking about, contacted him directly, said, "Let's make a partnership. Let's work together. The buyer likes our product. You obviously own the shelf space now. Let's work something out." And we did. The next season, we went in, and we were in, well, that's this season, we were in Home Depot, co-branded. It's the first time we had done that. The co-branded label, our brand and somebody else's brand, together. Because it keeps the look of everything, but then we still make the product and ship it to them. Okay, so that is now our business model, because that's why I brought all these different ones. Now these 2 were my original designs. And this is just a small sampling of the different. This is the Home Depot version. This is one for Do It Best. Have you ever heard of Do It Best store? They're like an Ace Hardware store. That's their version of just the Pro. They also have a residential version of the. This is for Oregon. They make saw chain and stuff, but they also sell a ton of trimmer heads. So I've got this one and the residential version for them. I've also got another one. It's a Weed Warrior one. It's for Ace Hardwares. And so what's happening in the business, and it's not just me, and it's not just my product, but this co-branding thing is more about them wanting to have their own look and their own feel. They don't really care if it's the same product inside the package. All they care about is it's something that they can hold on to. They each have their own logo that's only theirs. And this is particularly true among Orange and Blue, Home Depot and Lowe's. They don't like each other. They're very, very competitive. And so they each want to have their own look and feel. And so don't be so, this is your baby, right? Your idea, it's your baby, it's what you love, it's what you believe in, but don't be so focused on it that you won't let it, put on a co-branded shirt.
Did you sell to Lowe's?
Not yet. I'm working on that. Talk to me next year. Talk to me next year. But yeah, so we're doing quite, even in spite of that, we're still number 1. So then we're on the co-branding thing. I'm going to take a moment, take a breath. I'll talk really fast. I'm going to save time for questions at the end, but I had a couple of points along the way.
When you say insurance, what do you mean? Liability?
Liability insurance, right. Yeah. For example, Walmart requires $30 million in coverage. You need a $30 million policy to do business for our category. Right. Because there's moving parts and everything. Even lawn chairs, same thing. Somebody's going to sit. Pencil, maybe not. But anything like this, they're going to max it out, right? There's liability involved. And so it's hard for it's impossible for small companies to get that with no history at all. So that was another thing we did. One of my investors is an insurance agent. So think about these things ahead of time and position these people to have a vested interest in the success of your company. The manufacturing side, I haven't covered that at all. We were making this product in the U.S. until Walmart. And at that point, we realized that there's no way we can keep up. Now, as you begin, I highly recommend, right across the street from here is Nightingale Rehabilitation Center. We still do a lot of business with them. They do great work. If you have any assembly or stuff that needs repackaged or anything along those lines, that labor that needs product built, I highly recommend them. And if you contact me, or you can, they're literally right across the street.
Who is it again?
Nightingale Rehabilitation
Yeah,
Center.
I know them.
Yeah, it's physically and mentally challenged people, but tell you what, people that work hard and they are very focused on detail.
They're handicapped.
And the supervision there is great, and it makes you feel good to have your products there. So we were doing that, and they just couldn't keep up with the kind of volume we were doing. We still do a lot of work there, but we had to go to China. In the end, that was it. There's no way that I could do the volume without setting up a big manufacturing plant of my own, getting my own injection molders, my own machines to do a lot of the things that I just didn't have the money to do. And it's just so easy, right? Well, I'll say it's easy. It's somewhat easy if you know the right people. Another investor, import agent in China. Actually, they're very well connected, and if you need any context in manufacturing products in China, I can help you with that too. Import agent. But these, that's a generic term. But the people that we use actually have contacts with the Chinese government, because unlike here yet, over there, the government runs everything, and so they having those contacts is very, very important to making sure that your products don't get copied, to make sure that your products are done well, that they get done on time. And so we have third parties that are constantly coming in. But basically, we just sent over some samples. And we went in, I made like about a 20-page document that a 2-year-old could figure out how to make our product, and then had it translated into Chinese, and then took that big PDF document and sent it over there with them. And they went around and found us a price that was less than half of what I was paying here, about 40% of what I was paying here to make it. So that process can be done, it is achievable, but you need to have the volume at that point. We had the volume because we had Walmart. But if you're not going to order a container of something, it's not even worth your time. If you're not going to order more than one container of it over the next short while, it's probably not worth your time to do it, because the upfront costs are going to be too much. But if you are going to have the volume, you can save huge amounts of money by doing it that way. And the quality is actually better than what I was able to make here in the States. And we still make our trimmer line here, mainly because the things that make sense to make in China are the things that take assembly, things that take labor. If the labor is a key component of your product, then it's going to make sense to make it over there. If you're making milk crates, you should make those here. Particularly the big volume items like that too. So that was kind of an interesting thing. I got to go to China this year. That was cool. I didn't have to do that at first. I let him do all the work. But we went over there and visited with the manufacturing plant, ate some really crazy food, and live shrimp. We were flipping on like that Yao Ming commercial, if y'all seen that, where like, eat the shrimp. That's what he was, flipping on the table. But so that was, it's been. I've got the world's greatest job. I swear, standing in front of you, I got the world's greatest job. I get to live my dream. This is the most dressed up I've been in 2 weeks. Normally I wear shorts and sandals to work. We designed this package actually. So this is the old one here. This is our old package design that Home Depot dictated that we needed. I thought it was horribly ugly, confusing, and busy. So now that we're number one, they listen to us a little better, and so they let us redesign it now, or my graphic designer redesign it, but with input. So I think it looks a lot better, communicates better about how it works and why it works. But doing this kind of stuff, it just makes me happy. I love doing this kind of stuff, taking it and trying to communicate with the customer and putting your package in different ways. But some of the other things that we did that were very beneficial was the internet. The internet is absolutely the most useful tool in small business, hands down. We were able to not only get feedback from our customers, but proactively go after customers, proactively participate in blogs, proactively create. If you haven't looked at our website, I recommend that you do. Christ Webs is a company based here in Houston, makes phenomenal websites at very affordable prices. I did the same thing, the benchmarking thing, right? I went to all these websites across the industry, outside the industry, found the things that I like, said, hey, this is what I want. I want all these little things in my website, and that's what I got. And They got a video in there, got scrolling testimonials. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what is that company?
Christ Webs, like Jesus Christ.
Christ Web.
Christ Webs, yeah. So they did a great job, and then we have a corporate website, and then we have a retail website too, which is pretty important to have a delineation there, because if you're going to retail your products, you don't want the buyer of Home Depot going to your site where you're trying to sell him a weed eater head. You know, you want him going to a site that tells about how your company, what your values are, what you're focused on, who you are, when you were founded, you know, the types of events you have coming up, trade shows, and those sorts of things. A consumer is a totally different type of customer, and we sell an absolute ton of these on the web. And if you can imagine, if I get to make it in China and sell it at retail, those are huge margins. And so the more we can do that, the better. This next spring, we're actually going to go to TV with this. I sent my dad up here. He's my business partner, and he was here the other day for the Ad Scene on TV guy from Dallas. He's been talking to him. We're going to do it on our own. We're not going to go through some. We're going to run it on our own. But so that's exciting. And for us, something like that, I don't really have to make money on it, because what I'm trying to do is make this a household name. You know, that's what I really need. I need people to walk in and see the product and recognize the brand and recognize the package, or at least the logo, and understand that that's the one that they saw, and already know that the line pivots so it doesn't break. The line pivots so it doesn't break. You need to have a key focused message, and that's what we're able to finally figure out. The line pivots so it doesn't break off. That's what we're trying to get off. Because when people understand why your product is better, then they'll understand that it is better. But getting the why across, that's the challenging part. If you can ever do that, then you'll be immensely successful. Get involved. We've got trade associations that are in our business, Outdoor Power Equipment Aftermarket Association. They're a trade organization for outdoor power equipment. And I'm actually serve on the board there. I'll be the president in a couple of years. And I started participating in this, which was costing me quite a bit of money to go to their annual meetings and those sorts of things, with no benefit. I mean, really, I was making one product and selling it at Walmart. But I got involved in that networking and the understanding of the marketplace that I was able to establish. I could have gotten nowhere else. Nowhere else could I have got it than inside of my own industry, and participating and giving of myself in service to this organization. And in the end, people saw that and said, I want to do business with him. I like him, and he has a good product. And so that's another recommendation, is to participate and get involved in whatever your industry is. And try to find people that you're going after them, not trying to sell them product, but trying to help some greater cause. In this case, for us, original equipment manufacturers don't really like us. They like people buying their aftermarket parts, because aftermarket parts is where the money's at. Original parts, like a trimmer, Home Depot might make $20 on a trimmer, and they sell it for $2.20. You know, so they're not making big margins on it. They're going to make money on the parts, and so those OEM guys, they want the part business, and so there's this natural crossing of the minds. You know, when I'm like a lot of these guys, they'll sell filters and spark plugs for a Briggs and Stratton engine. Well, Briggs and Stratton sells the same thing, but twice as expensive. So they're trying to say you need original equipment, and they're not. So anyway, that's the natural cause that this whole organization is centered around. So I participated in that, and because I participated in that, it helped my business.
Tell me, how many patents do you have on your product?
We have one issued patent and 5 pending patents.
Have you been challenged? Has your patent been challenged?
Not formally. We had one challenge, which was a verbal challenge, a multiple in my face and behind my back type verbal challenge from a competitor, and that was one of the big things. You know, it really tests you when that happens, because you've got so much invested in this, and when somebody walks up to you and says, "That's my product, you can't make that." You're kind of thrown for a loop right away, and you've got to recover and then spend some money to make sure that it's not true, and then hold your ground and move forward in faith. And for us, if I say there's one theme about what our company is, it's moving forward in faith. You know, the mission statement of our company is to grow God's company through hard work, faith, and strong values. And well, it's been that way from day one, and I've seen doors fall down in front of me. So I'd be remiss if I didn't share that with you. But on the patent front, we actually had them, the person that challenged it, we had the patent examiner. We contacted the examiner and said, please look at this guy's, all of his patents that he's ever made, and compare ours to his before you issue it. Because if you don't, then afterwards, and he can challenge it, and then you end up in court, and like, you got to pay for that. Well, not right. Well, it's in the patent office, it's still free. So that's what we did. He issued a judgment saying no infringement at all, and so the patent is now issued. So, that's just the way it went for me. I'm not a patent attorney. I don't pretend to be. I don't know everything about it, but again, if you're gonna spend money, spend extra money with your patent. Because if you ever get to this position, I guarantee there's people that want to take me down big time. Big companies that really don't like me being who I am. But that's okay. Because I can be more efficient. I'm a 3-person company. But I'm competing successfully against multi-billion-dollar corporations.
So where's Orlando with this? I mean, is he the one that came up with this idea?
Right. It's his patent. He's the inventor. I don't ever pretend to be the inventor.
So what role does he play at this point?
At this point, well, obviously he's a licensee. He gets royalties.
Okay.
There's only so much I can say,
Right.
but I personally like him to be involved as much as possible. He's got his own life and his own job, and he lives in Louisiana. So we try to participate on product development. He's, like I say, he's a great mind, wonderful mind. You give him a problem, that evening he'll have a prototype of a solution. He's just like that. He's always making something. You can't keep him down. And that's great. It's a wonderful thing. It's a resource for me. So I try to keep him involved as a resource, as a partner, and as a friendship, because we become friends.
How many times did you go to trade shows before you went to the big stores, before you were put in the stores?
Well, that was my first show.
I was there for a while.
That's what I'm saying. And this is a good benchmark for you. This is about as fast as you can do it. Really it is. And outside of guys that do it as seen on TV, that's a totally different type thing. If you do it at first and do an as seen on TV, like OxyClean or something, that just spends millions on TV advertising, but then gets it back, and then now they're a household name. That's another way. But in a normal type of scenario, 4 years is very short to get to the top spot.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's good.
Which trade show was that you went to?
That was the National Hardware Show. It's in Las Vegas every May. And if you want to just go to any one show just to see what entrepreneurship and inventorship is like, that's the one to go to. Absolutely. And it's Vegas, so that's fun. Yes, sir.
Are you shipping the distribution centers in China for Home Depot, or are you bringing them here?
Well, that's one of the cool things is that I sell to my customer. I'm doing the same type of business model, right? So I sell to a distributor who sells to Home Depot, right? They also sell them everything else. They sell them trim a line, they sell all that stuff, right? So I love it because I just place my order with my factory in China, make sure that it gets made, and then they take receipt of it in China. I never have to touch it.
Are you packaging it, or are they packaging it?
When it comes out of China, it's like this in a box with a lid that pulls like that. That's the way it comes out. You see right here.
I'll give you blatant. Are they asking you for 75-point markup?
I can't talk about that. I wish I could, but I do okay. There's a lot of hands involved, because you got the manufacturer that wants to make money. Then there's me. I got to pay the royalties out, and then they've got to ship it across the world, and then they've got to take it and sell it to Depot, and they have to sell it. They end up going through another distributor, actually. They sell it to Depot, and then Depot's got to sell it to customer. And then Depot's definitely going to make their money. And then everything rolls down here. I'm the last to get paid.
Are you signing confidentiality agreements when you're talking pricing with these guys?
Absolutely. You have to.
Did you say the inventor is one of your partners?
I call him a partner, but he's not technically.
He doesn't have any stock, huh?
He doesn't have stock. No. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend that either, because I think it's a bit of a conflict of interest. But you know, yeah, everybody's got their own thing, and maybe that is a good thing. For us, it keeps him. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing.
The price you sell on the internet, is that the same price that Home Depot or Walmart sell it for?
That's one of the biggest challenges for us is keeping the pricing consistent. And we no longer sell to Walmart, and that's one of the big reasons. Is because if you're selling this apple at Walmart and you sell it at Home Depot, it's inherently, because of the way the businesses are structured, going to be less at Walmart. That's why they say the prices are less, because they work on less margin.
Right.
So you keep all your feed prices the same, and then it's going to come out $4 different on the other end. You know, and the consumer notices that. I mean, you're talking about a 20% difference in pricing. So, yes, now, no matter where you go, my price is within $1. No matter where you go, it's the same, whether it's on the web or wherever.
You say you do not sell Walmart?
No.
How did that happen? Or why did that happen?
What's the best way to say?
Can't talk about it.
There's a lot of that involved in the can't talking about it, but at the time, I was actually in Europe when it happened at that GAFA show, which is the international expo for this type of product, and that's kind of a neat thing to go to. There's a totally different type of market over there. But I was there and found out that we weren't going to be in Walmart the next season. When I was sure that we were, because we were the #1 selling product going in. And then we had partnered with the current vendor that we had been selling the last 2 years. And the buyer contacted us and asked us if we would sell through somebody else. Halfway through the review process, if we would sell through somebody else. I didn't have a contract with them. He said, this guy will pay you more. They'll pay you more, like $2 more for each head.
Wow.
Well, looked at my mission statement, said, no, I'm going to stick with this guy. I told him he could pitch. He's done it the last 2 years, done a good job, always paid me. I'm not going to leave him high and dry. Stuck with him. He lost all his business at Walmart. So that's how it happened. In the end, it was the best thing that could ever happen to me because, again, it fixed my pricing problem. It cost me a ton of money that year. Now, that's 2 years now that it cost me money. But in the end, people still find our product. They don't go to Walmart looking for my type of product. It's an impulse item there. They go to Home Depot looking for my type of product. And so that's really where you want to be. Every one of your ideas has a perfect location. Every one of your products has a perfect spot, the perfect store, the perfect price point, and the perfect package where it will optimize itself. And then everything else will be some factor underneath that of perfection. And so you need to figure out where that is and drive towards that direction first. You know, and then you can pick up accounts along the way, and you can develop your market along the way, but you need to make that a goal, a specific written out goal for yourself. Let me make sure I don't skip anything real quick.
Well, I don't know. If you had a contract with Walmart, how come they broke it?
Well, I mean, I don't. It's just they can buy whatever they want. Walmart doesn't have to buy products from me. It doesn't buy products from anybody. They don't have to buy products from Johnson & Johnson if they don't want to. They sell what they want to sell. And this, it's what you're seeing in business right now, and that's one of our biggest challenges, is that they don't want to buy, they don't have too many vendors. Let's put it short. They don't want to have too many people they got to deal with. They would rather Otto sell them the whole lawn and garden department if they felt like he could do it at a reasonable price and deliver it on time and those sorts of things, than have 30 vendors, which might have some factor of better products, more creative products or whatever. They don't really care. They want to make it easy to do business and make sure that product's going to be there on the shelf and on time. And so you see this mass migration towards vendor consolidation. And that's what happened there, was a vendor consolidation. Some of the other vendors came in and said, hey, all those products those guys are selling you, I can sell them to you cheaper. And they're like, okay, great, see you later. That's one less vendor. Yoo-hoo! You know, so I've sort of been the anomaly. I was the anomaly because I got picked up by Walmart as a single vendor the first season. I was an anomaly because I got one SKU, well, two SKUs, one SKU into Home Depot on my own, which doesn't happen either. We've sort of broken the rules as we've gone along, but we're now a product of our environment, and the way to be strong is to be partnered with somebody else in your business. And you know, if we ever lose our spots in our partnerships, then we're free to go where we want, and we make sure that that's the case. But it saves a lot of my headache if I don't have to deal directly with these large
Do you
retailers.
have any trimmer manufacturers that like what you do, or could they offer it as original equipment or something like that?
Yeah, in fact, I was on again, I can't name who it was, but there's a trimmer manufacturer out of Dallas that I've been on the phone with the last 3 days that wants to look at not only, because they do aftermarket, they all do aftermarket heads, but also looking at putting it on their trimmer. One I can tell you about is Lair. You guys seen Lair? Really, really cool product. Propane powered weed eater. Use a little green Coleman canister. Fire it up, it's quiet, powerful. They're looking at doing it because we're innovative on the head end, they're innovative on the engine end, so we're trying to work something out. I got to go to California next week and talk to them, so that would be cool. But yes, you know, in the beginning I thought that's where all the money was, but it's not. It's not where the real money's at. There's volume there, but there's not much margin, and they don't want to pay much for a head because the head, if they pay an extra, say 50, my head, yeah, you got the regular bump head, but you can put mine for just 50 cents more. Well, that 50 cents, remember all those layers that we talked about? The 50 cents turns into $1, which turns into $2, turns into $4, turns into $8 to the customer. $8, when you're only making 20, that's a problem. You know, that's nearly half your profit. And so any little change that they make on the manufacturing side gets expounded at the retail price point. And if you're already working on tight margins, it becomes a problem. So that's been our biggest challenge in there is getting them to pay more than $1, frankly, for a trimmer.
How much did it cost to come up with, to have a, you know, I guess a prototype made?
Prototyping is easy. We do that all the time now. I talked Curtis, right? Curtis and I, he's got a cool product. I told him about this guy. There's a guy in Houston. So what you do, you want to like we do it all the time. This is the life of the pro. This is our new commercial grade head. So you got an idea. You take, get it in the SolidWorks. Get it in a 3-dimensional form, right? It's in 3-dimensional form. Email it to Scott. Scott's got one of those 3D printers, you know, layers the plastic. He'll if I want to make it run, he'll put glue in it, and so that I can actually take something that I sketch up on Monday. My designer will do the drawing Monday night or Tuesday night. Wednesday I email it to Scott. He'll have it done by Friday, mail it to me. The next Monday morning, I've got a trimmer head I can go run on my weed eater and see how it works.
Is it Scott at DSC Rapid?
Mm-hmm.
He's on your website.
Yeah, I highly recommend.
What's the name of it?
Use them all the time. DSC Rapid, David Sam Edward Rapid, RAPID.com. Based out of Houston. Just if he's ever working on one of my projects, tell him that my stuff goes first.
Is he the one up by Conroe?
What's his last name?
Is he the one up by Conroe?
Is Scott
Yeah, he's up north. Vander, yeah.
He has spoken.
Okay. Yeah,
He
he's
lives up north in Magnolia.
Magnolia, right? Yeah. He's even driven down to bring me parts that I needed urgently. And so, what we'll do is, like, I've got another version that we pitched to fix the Walmart thing. What we did is we took and created a different product that would sell cheaper. Okay, a small one that only holds 2 lines. So I've got the drawings. I don't have a mold because I haven't got an order for it yet. But what you do is you get your prototype and you paint it, put it in a package, mock the package up, take it to the buyer, put it in front of him. He doesn't know it's not a real product, done product. He's like, oh, I like that. You know, I'll put those in all my stores. Great. All right, cool. Hey, China, make a mold. You know, so you do it and you send it in. And what's cool about that is it allows you to not have to have all this upfront expense for molding and tooling until you know you have a market, that's really cool. So that process has been very useful for us. I mean, we've got another. Well, I can't talk about all of them, We got a lot of different design variations of the head that we're gonna come out with, because in the end, not only do they want it to be different in the package, but they do want some variation in the actual heads themselves too. They want it to maybe hold bigger line, or smaller line, or shaped line, or 3 lines, or 2 lines. You know, a lot of different, everybody wants their own thing. You know.
Tell me, did you put somebody out of business? The other people that just have a line.
No, I don't think we've put anybody out of business. We're not big enough to put anybody out of business per se.
Yeah, but that
we've
looks
taken-
like it's so much superior to the ones that I know about.
I agree. I like you.
You like that part, huh? On your call center, if I call in your 800 number, do I talk to someone in your office? You say you have a small office there.
Yep.
Do you have a service that does that for you?
No, we do that. Since day one, when we first, it was the coolest thing, right? So you go to Walmart and see your product at the store. That's good. Bad part is that there's, more than 2,000 Walmarts. And so, it was 3,400, I think. Anyway, when they have a problem, it's exactly right. They call, right? But we're a small company, so that's customer service right there. For the first year and a half, I intimately know the end of every type of gas trimmer known to man. Put me on Jeopardy. Give me a category. I got it. That is what, but I learned it the hard way. I didn't know nothing starting. And again, that's that process of just doing it. Somebody says, well, man, it doesn't fit. I'm like, well, dang, man, did you try this? Did you try that? But the ones that call and they say, well, which one's the nut and which one's the bolt? Sir, it's not going to fit. It's definitely not going to work on your unit. You're going to have to take that back.
That 800 number was tied directly to your cell phone?
Uh-huh. Yep.
How many other garden products do you have? Is this the only?
8,000 minutes a month on my phone. Sir?
Is this the only garden product that you're carrying right now, or?
I've actually discontinued products. The inventor had a couple of other products, a cultivator head and another product that this product is the classic example of the perfect product. And I don't say that just because it's mine. I actually have I teach some small classes on identifying what a great product is. How do you quantify what a great product is? They fell short in one category. You have to have all very high scores in each category. And those categories would be, for one, how big is the market that I'm addressing? Okay. Am I solving something that's really great for firefighters? Or am I solving something that's really great for men? How big is it are we talking? So that's your starting point, right? And then among that market segment, typical survey of that group, how big a problem is it? Is it like, I'm like, yeah, sometimes my back itches, I wish I could reach it. Or, man, if I could find a solution to that product, here's my credit card. How big is the problem for them? And then if you got a big enough market, and then within that market you have a big enough problem, and this is assuming it's a solution-oriented product, and there's lots of different types of products, but this is specifically for solution-oriented products. So it's a big market, it's a big problem for them. What are you willing to pay for it, Otto? How much are you willing to pay me to solve that problem for you? So there's a number there. There's a magic number that if it's $19.95 or $29.95 or $9.95 or a penny or what, somewhere in there's a price that somebody will pay most of the time for that product. So then you need to know that. And then you take that number and multiply it by about 10%. 20 at the top end. And that's what you need to be able to make it for. If you can manufacture it for that, and the last piece, can it be demonstrated? Can you demonstrate how this product is better or different than everything else? Okay, so that's your category. How big is the market? How big is the problem? How much will they pay to solve it? Can I make it cheap enough? And does it demonstrate? If you have all those pieces, you've got a winner. This is absolutely, unequivocally a 10 in every category.
And the more consumable it is, the
better.
more repeat customers.
Right. This is the toothbrush. This is the toothpaste. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Does your inventor get money in proportion to your production, or
Say that one more time.
does your inventor get the royalty in proportion to your product
Typically,
numbers? Or?
yes. The question is, what does the inventor get, basically, right? Typical inventor is going to get a percentage of your sales, particularly your sales associated with proprietary things that relate to their patent. For example, we're starting to sell items that are not proprietary to him. You know, we're getting into other things that have nothing really to do with this. I don't pay him anything on that. But anything that's to do with anything on his table, he's going to get a percentage of whatever we sell. Every royalty, I mean, you can write an agreement with anybody. They want to get paid daily or monthly or weekly or quarterly or annually. They want to get paid 1% or 20%. You know, there are standards out there that you can talk to an attorney about. I can't tell you what our deal is with him, but it is a percentage of sales. That's how it works. Yes, sir, in the back.
Mike, did you say you have to leave at 8 o'clock?
Yes, what time? 8:30. Well, 8:30 is not supposed to be there, but I can stay about another 10 or 12 minutes.
Make you aware.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, shoes.
Okay.
How long have you been working with Lowe's, and how did you get your foot in the door?
Don't have you put in the door on Lowe's.
Not Lowe's yet, but Home Depot.
But do you have a contact at Lowe's that you're working with?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you been working with that person at Lowe's?
Well, their buyers changed at one point, but I'm trying to think what I can say. See, because we're partnered with a distributor, right? That sells a lot of products there, and we have an agreement with them that relates to the bigger accounts, and so basically this partner that we have is the one that's presenting to them. If in the end they're not successful, then I will go around them and do it on my own. But they've been very, very good. We chose properly. To answer your question about Home Depot, they have an open to buy day. If you have a product that's a lawn and garden product or anything from Home Depot, they have open to buy days that you can apply for. Go to their website, look for open to buy. It's in Atlanta. You have to be selected, but if you're selected, then you get a slotted appointment for you get 15 minutes, I think, with the buyer and the VP of the category, and you go in there and present your product.
What is it called?
Open to buy.
What is your net worth? What do you work at business?
Me?
What a business?
About a bag of chips. No. Our company does, we're doing over $1 million a year in sales. So it just depends on who you talk to, you know, what's it worth. But we're like this, right? So I think that we're worth a whole lot. People are already, you know, they're already making offers to buy our company out. But I'm not interested to sell because I can see where we're going. I have every bit of confidence that the doors will continue to be broken down in front of us, and we're going to go all the way to the top. I'm not saying I won't sell. Everybody's got a price, you know. I like Costa Rica, but I can't really say what our net worth is because that's it's a subjective thing.
You mentioned the product, the price you pay for it and the price you sell it for. You mentioned the 20%. So if you got a dollar item, you should be able to make it for 20 cents? Is that what you're saying?
20 cents or less, yeah. 10 cents is best.
Okay.
Ace, tell us about Ace.
Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware is, they're a conglomeration of privately owned hardware stores. Okay? So I might own a hardware store, and you might own a hardware store, and Otto owns a hardware store, and we are trying to compete against Home Depot. The only way that we can compete against Home Depot is working together. So we participate, and we're part of a cooperative. We all know what a co-op is, right? That's what ACE is. That's what Do It Best is. They're cooperatives. So they use their cumulative buying power to negotiate with vendors like me and buy the products in large quantities and then distribute it and make it available to the vendors. It's a problem for me, though, because I can't tell somebody, you can go to your local Ace Hardware and buy my product. You can go to your local Ace Hardware and they can buy my product, but it doesn't mean they did. Now, I can tell them you can go to a Home Depot who's corporately owned and managed, and I know exactly what shelf it'll be on and what the item number will be and probably about how many they'll have. So it's different like that. They're privately owned versus corporately owned. Does that answer your question?
Perhaps. I need to go to Ace and check it out.
Okay. They're in Oak Brook, Illinois, just west of Chicago.
Well, I do a lot of business with Ace Hardware locally.
Handy Hardware. You wanna go talk to somebody local if you got a product that's in the hardware or lawn and garden or anything in the hardware store with Handy Hardware. It's off Telephone Road. It was my very first account. Yep, near the airport.
Handy?
Yeah, all these products are stocked in their warehouse. They're one of our best accounts. Yes.
Did you let Home Depot beat you up more than Ace? Let me just, I'm in the negotiating process with Home Depot.
Okay.
I basically almost told them to go to hell.
Yeah,
Because
a lot of people do.
I'm in Ace. I'm
Okay.
just waiting for their vendor paperwork.
Okay.
Because I went to their open to buy last Tuesday.
Okay, great.
So we're going to True Value, we're going to Do It Best, and all the other guys. I want to be in Home Depot, but they're ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, at some point you have to make a decision on your own. I mean, I don't know I don't know what type of product you have or the premise around it, but I mean, do you have any history? Do you have any history with Ace? You got into Ace.
I did the same thing you did.
Okay.
I went into asshole mode and called them every week until they responded.
That's good. You did the right thing. You need to decide how much you can sell it for. In the end, you probably will sell it slightly less to Home Depot, but not much less. Not much. Because, and that's not really about how much you're selling it, because Ace and these guys are set up different, because they have, Home Depot's got a price, but then Ace has got a price, and then they're going to ask you for 5% marketing allowance. And they're going to ask you for slotting fees, and they're going to ask you for co-op advertising, and they're going to ask you for show participation. You got to go to 2 shows a year. The booth is $4,000 at each show, and you got to travel up there and do the show. I got to go to one next week in Atlanta.
Right.
So there's all this stuff that's built back onto the Ace. So they're just different. You really can't. It's not an apples to apples comparison. But I'd be glad to talk to you, off the record and give you whatever information I've got that might help you. If you're on the right path, but don't let them push you around. But in the end, know that all the money's in the big boxes. The big money's in the big boxes.
Your head is on gasoline models as well as electric models.
Not electrics.
Non-electrics.
No. The problem with electric trimmers is that electric trimmers don't have an arbor. Like if anybody have an electric trimmer here? Your spools, you wind it and then you snap it in place, right? That head is actually mounted on there. It's usually part of the fan that cools the engine. And so there's nothing to unscrew and screw on. I've got 18 nuts and bolts that I custom make in China to make sure that it fits. You only need one. But electrics, it won't work. If I can, somebody come up with one for electric and license it to me, I'll make you rich. Yes.
So at these shows you were demoing with the gasoline one, how'd you muffle it?
Well, we are using electric. We modified steel is the only one that makes one that I can use my head on, because they use a gas shaft and electric motor to demo. I was actually almost going to bring it, but everybody always wants my demo box. I have a box. I've got one now that folds up, but all these hardware stores and buyers and reps, they all want them. So anytime I make one, they take it from me. Yes.
You consider yourself an internet company, or especially now, I guess you don't sell Walmart. And then in the next 2 or 3 years, do you think you'll be going more and more as an internet company, or you're sticking to your other
No, we're a manufacturer. Our sales online are about 5%, 4%.
That was my question. Yeah.
Something like that.
And you
It's
don't see
really,
it going up.
it's. I use that as a way to keep my finger on the pulse of the customer. The whole survey thing, I use that, and it's very valuable. Every day I go check the mail, and I'm looking for 2 things. I'm looking for those surveys. I'm looking for checks. That's all I want to see. No bills.
So that's not a product that would take off on the internet per se.
It can, and when we put it on TV, it probably will, but it's already so prolific. Go out there and put in pivot trim, you'll find it at about 50 different Amazon stores. It's all over, eBay and everywhere. Because when you sell into the cooperatives will then in turn sell online. Everybody sells online. In fact, they'll take the whole database of everything at Ace Hardware and dump it into their system, including photographs, and upload it onto the Amazon. And then when you find it, you say, oh, I want to buy that. Boop. And they say, okay, well, it ships in a week. You know why? Because they don't have it in stock. Ace has got it in stock. When you order it, they get a pallet comes free every week. A truck comes free every week from Ace. So they say, oh, put one of those on there. Put one of those on there. And then it comes in and they ship it to you. That's how it works. Pretty good business model.
What about Target? You sell to Target at all?
They don't sell lawn and garden.
Pardon?
They don't sell our type of product.
Oh, is that right?
No. I wish they did, but they don't. Some of the, and then there's a lot of, so you go after the big ones and you get the ones you know about. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna ask you about Amazon. What was the price that they had on Amazon versus your retail price on your website?
It's cheaper. It's cheaper, but I don't really care. Like I say, I'm trying to hold my price point, and you still got to pay shipping. So you can go to Home Depot and buy it cheaper than you can buy on Amazon plus shipping. And that's good. I'm glad the shipping thing is there because it helps me.
Yeah, that's
But I don't know if anybody got an iPhone, like the coolest app ever. You can scan a product now, whoop, and goes online and finds all the products online that are the same barcode and tells you where to buy them and how much they are. So you can walk through Walmart and have a ball, man. Like, oh, that's too expensive. It's not the lowest price. See? They hate me in Walmart. So anyway, that's
Who you have your phone service with?
AT&T. It's called Red Laser. It's the name of the app. It's like the coolest thing. Sorry. I'm easily amused. But so in the end, okay, so here's a notable thing too. I talked a little bit about different types. So we got one patent issued and a lot pending. But this and this, these are two totally separate items. According to a retailer, according to my patent, it's the exact same thing. This is the turnip that I've now bled a little more. And then I've got a smaller version than this. So I've taken one design, one very good design, and created a commercial grade product, a residential grade product, and a light product out of it. And so that's another thing you can do too, is find ways